Hey, it's Chrissy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5.
Welcome, guys, to episode 26 of Living the Reiki Life podcast. It's Christy here and Amanda, and we're so excited for this episode today. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary, so we have kind of a different type of episode to share with you guys that we're super excited about. But first, we wanted to talk about that Scorpio full moon. Amanda and I had some stories to share about our experience and want to see if maybe this resonated with some of you, or we just wanted to talk it out because it was an interesting one.
Yes, what a doozy. It was like the ghosts of boyfriends past coming up with vengeance. It felt like everybody on my Tinder Rolodex was just flipping through my awareness. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I'd be driving and just some random, like nothing would even trigger it. Yeah, just some randomness would just come in and then I would think of them and I'd be like, whoa, like I haven't thought of this guy since I was 18 years old. That's like almost 20 years ago. I'm going to be 38 soon. It was so wild. And, I did Reiki for a friend who was dealing with the same thing. All these random memories kept flooding in and even dreams. She's like, help me cut these cords. And you had the same thing too, Christy.
Yes, I did. It was a boyfriend from when I was, I had a lot of boyfriends in high school looking back. And the one that he came up and I was thinking about him, and then I was thinking about the guy I took to my grad, and I was like, wonder what he's up to, because he was just, a frog or a toad, like just a loser,
Dead.
Yeah, a big dumb. Maybe he changed. Maybe I highly doubt it, but and it just it was a lot of self-reflection looking back of my behavior around having a boyfriend and what I did for attention, and all those sticky, uncomfortable things coming out of the closet that you just don't really want to, sit there and go through. But it came up for a reason with that full moon. We talked about how Scorpio is the death card, and you have to go and visit all this crappy things, I think, before you can have your big rebirth. And I don't think I'm going through a rebirth right now, but it was just interesting that corner of my life was coming up to be healed.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah.
And we both did some pretty interesting things to cut our cords that we both kind of just came up with ourselves, that we're actually going to dedicate a whole episode to, because we actually thought it was super useful and other people could use it as well. We also got a listener question about how to clear yourself, and it kind of goes in with the same thing. So we decided, let's do a whole episode on this and things that you can do after Reiki sessions, cutting cords with other people, ex-boyfriends. It's let's go. Because who was it said there is every time you have an intimate interaction with somebody, there's actually a cord that ties through your nipples, right?
Mm-hmm. Your arc
Jag-
line. Yeah,
yes.
That's right.
Yes. So it's we have that energy exchange every time we're with someone, especially women. It's a really emotional exchange as well. So it's just kind of good to clear those up, especially if they're coming to the surface, that it's an obvious sign it's time to release that and let them go.
Yeah, it's like the clothes in your closet that you're never going to wear that are taking up space. It's why keep them around? Clean it out. It's going to feel good. Sometimes it hurts, when you're like, oh, I spent $80 on this and I never wore it. But it's who cares? Just get rid of it, donate it. And but it was so interesting when you texted me and you're like, what is going on? The ghosts of boyfriends past. I was like, me too. And I was having dreams, and it was intense. So if anyone out there had the same experience, we would love to hear about it.
Yeah. Hit us up on our Instagram. That'd be so good to know. Yes. So just for another astrology update. So it's mid-May. So we still have another full moon coming up on May 23rd, this time in Sagittarius. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if more of that fire comes up, because in Sagittarius is a fire sign. So maybe more of the anger is coming out this time. It's like we released the emotional part and now it's like the anger stage. I don't know. But just a heads up, May 23rd.
May 23rd. Yes, and then our birthdays are coming up as well.
Yeah, we'll be getting
Yeah.
into Gemini season after this.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's your season. I like Gemini
Mhm.
season too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have a
we're
lot of
getting into,
Gemini in my chart.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Getting into that full-blown spring, which is great.
Oh, it's great. It's raining right now and like there's a little bit of a thunderstorm. I love it. And
Me
it's
too.
funny, like I've always loved the rain. Like even when I was a little kid being at the lake and it was raining, I was excited. And
Hmm.
I heard someone say that rain gives you the excuse to relax. It's like that permission slip to just be like, I can sit inside, have a cup of tea, read a book. And I was like, that makes so much sense how I find the rain just to, just be quiet with yourself. It just seems like everything kind of slows down, like the wildlife outside aren't as active and everything's just quiet. I just love it.
Yes, I agree. I love that as an excuse to like even sleep in.
Yes.
I
Oh,
just
isn't
love
that the
laying in bed if I
best?
can hear the rain outside. I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh,
Oh, that's my favorite.
I know, me too. Yes, those little things. It's like the best start to my day. If I
Yep.
can hear that, it's great.
It's great.
So, like Christy said, this is our 1 year anniversary episode. So we're like really proud of ourselves for one, making it a year. The statistics actually for people who make podcasts past the like 12th episode drops
Hmm.
drastically. So the fact that we've made it a year, Christy, so bravo to you and me.
Yes.
And we wanted to share like we have 14,000 downloads already, which is amazing. And
Hmm.
that was because of you. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank the fans
In
and
the
everyone else who got us here and all the people who are still listening. We love and appreciate you. And we're actually
Yes.
going to do a Instagram giveaway. So if you're following us on Instagram, stay tuned for that. And if you're not, you can go ahead and follow our Living the Reiki Life on Instagram because we are going to do a giveaway to say thank you so much to someone out there.
Yes. I'm super excited for that. We'll release all the details on May 15th. So check that out. And, just thinking about the 14,000 downloads is it's mind blowing. Cause I remember when we got to 1,000 downloads and we were both like, oh my goodness. Like people are wanting to listen to our podcast. They want to tune in and they're tuning in week after week. And it just lit my heart up so much because I used to sit at work and I would pound podcasts constantly, always listening to these podcasts. And I would watch the podcast journey. They start out, they have a few listeners, and then they build this community and they just hold so much space for people. And then they create relationships and then they grow their business and then they help other people grow their business. And just to be a part of that, like we are living that right now, like Amanda and I, is just, I don't know, I'm just so proud of it. And we've gained like amazing clients from all over the States and Canada, people that I would have never met before if it wasn't for this podcast. And I'm just so grateful for every DM that you guys have sent, any session that you booked with us, or any question or any message. I am just so grateful. And my heart just goes out to everyone that has hit download on these episodes. It truly does mean a lot to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to a mentor actually yesterday, and she said there is such a big need right now for Reiki, and people are looking for Reiki. So, I mean, again, if you're wondering if you should start Reiki, if there's, if it's already saturated, it's not. No one is going to do Reiki like you do.
Yep.
So it is just something, it's beautiful. And we're just in that time, more and more people are awakening. And actually, I'm kind of getting into one of our questions by going into this, I realize. But yeah, it's a great journey. And I love Reiki so much. I'm so glad that we can just share our experiences and get more people involved and know what's normal and what's different is great. And
Yeah, just to have these conversations. And, Reiki isn't the be all end all. I find Reiki to be the gateway to your spiritual journey. It is a way to learn about yourself, get in tune with yourself, and clean out your closet. It's just such a beautiful, gentle way to take that journey. And who knows what happens on the other side? Like, you may find that you can communicate with animals, or you can decode dreams, or you want to do Akashic records. Like, you just don't know until you take that journey. And I'm not saying like you need to start with Reiki, but I find that Reiki is such a beautiful spot to start because you're learning the basics about yourself and the energy system and how it all works. So if you're ever curious about Reiki, or you want to start the journey and you hear that call, jump in. Just do it.
Yeah. It's the gateway drug. The
It
gateway drug
really
to more
is.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good one though.
Mhm. Yeah, so we put out a poll for listener questions, and we got a few that we're going to address here on the podcast today. So let's
Yeah.
go into our first one, which was, how do you balance work and Reiki clients? Do you want to start this one, Christy?
Yeah, I'll start. So with me, this was like a trial and error. I didn't know my limits until I reached them. So working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, like, sometimes your evenings are short, or some days you had like a shit day in the office and you're just burnt out. And it's okay to hold that space for yourself. And sometimes you may have to reschedule, or you might have to amend your schedule to maybe take out a couple weekdays a week. That's what I had to do. I didn't want to have all my weekdays open. I just kind of blocked off a couple, and then I opened my weekends up because I love doing Reiki on the weekends, especially early in the morning, like 10 o'clock. I wake up, have my cup of tea, and in that Reiki room, and you have a beautiful session, and then the rest of the day is open. So I find it's trial and error with how it all runs. And I've ran a jewelry business for 10 years on the side. And I was talking to my husband about this, and he's like, you've always been like a hustler. You're always got like something on the side, always something moving, going. You're just like researching. And it's like, yeah, I think it's my Gemini. What is it? The career path, like the MC. Like, I'm always changing. I always got to keep things fresh. So that's where I believe that comes from. But I also learned a lot from running that jewelry company, and the importance of being organized and not straining yourself too thin, because it really hurts yourself and your business in the end. And working with energy work, like Patty said from our last episode, you really have to look after yourself, like even more than you did before. You really have to fill your cup up and make sure that you are a clear vessel for when you get that person on the table to do that Reiki session. So it's a learning curve, but I find now that I did find a good balance.
Yeah, I would actually agree with this response too. So for me, yes, like taking one session in the evening during the work week, of course, taking weekend or during the week sessions in the evening. And then, right, having openings during the weekend. I'm also balancing a young son as well. So I usually only take one client a day on the weekend as of right now. I mean, I know both of us have plans to slowly phase out, maybe go part-time with the 9 to 5 and then part-time with the Reiki, kind of make it a bigger split. But I actually find Reiki really energizes me. Like if I'm doing a straight Reiki session, I feel great after. Really good. Sometimes it's even hard to go to sleep right after because it'll be almost 9 o'clock, or it'll be after 9 actually when I finish. And I'm old, so I'm like, oh, well, I better get to bed. But sometimes I'm so energized that it's almost hard to turn it off. If there's a lot of mediumship or me really trying to focus and tune in, I do find that can be draining. So that part can be exhausting. And that I find, yes, like you said, you really need to make sure you're taking care of yourself and taking that rest, or you will get burnt out really easily. And then your body will actually get sick, right? Because you're not resting, so it's going to force you to rest. And again, that was another good lesson from Patty, too. Just all of a sudden your voice is going to give out or just going to be exhausted. And you have to find that balance, and you'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All right. Okay, that feels good for that question. Let's move on to the next one. So this one is, do you have any tips to share about starting your own Reiki practice?
Yes. Yes, I do. Do you want me to go first on this one?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so this one's actually really interesting because I know Chrissy and I both kind of struggled a little bit with this. So I was really worried about putting myself out there on Instagram with my new self as a Reiki practitioner, right? Because I knew people from work were going to see it. I knew my family was going to see it, my extended family. And I was kind of in that, like, what's the word? I was kind of in that insecure mode where I was like, oh, what are people going to think? And all this. So we both made separate Instagram accounts first off. So if you're worried about that and what people think, I made my own. So if people don't like what I have going on, they don't have to follow it. And I did be like, hey, I have a new account and you can find it here if that's something you're interested in. Go ahead and follow me as well over here. So that made things easier for me off the bat. And then once you get out that first post, everything gets easier. I remember the first post, I was almost hyperventilating. I was so nervous. But getting that first one out of the way, you're going to be fine. And just know, like, things are never going to feel maybe perfect when you're getting started, but just start anyways. Like our first couple episodes of this podcast, the sound quality definitely wasn't as good as it is now because we've both just grown and learned things. But if we would have waited, like, it just wouldn't have served us. So just start and just put yourself out there, and then you'll be so great to see how far you've progressed after. So you'll have that kind of to push you forward.
Yeah.
What other tips do I have to getting started out? Oh, I think that's kind of it. What about you, Christy?
Yeah, no, that is great advice because the world we live in now, that social media presence is very helpful. You know, like when I listen to a podcast and I check out their website or their Instagram, you kind of get a bigger feel for what they're all about. And I find it's just a good landing page for someone to go and check you out. So I do believe that that is a good thing to have and a great place to start. And yeah, putting yourself out there, that was hard for me as well because I even struggled with my jewelry. I'd come up with a new design. I'd be like, oh, why was it people don't buy this? They think it's ugly. You know, you just go through all that self-doubt. And that's just normal because you should, like, it's just a normal thing for us to be scared to share our true selves. But once you do it, it feels so good. And I also find like word of mouth is also another powerful way to start building your clients. You know, you help your friend Sue, she tells her aunt, which tells her friend, which tells her aunt. And then, you know, it just like keeps going.
And just on a more, I guess, practical level too, you are going to need some basic things. You're going to need a massage bed, obviously, sheets and pillows for under the legs to help support the lower back, and one for the head, of course. I personally have music playing, so I have just a little speaker when I have in-person sessions. And there's actually this really good Reiki playlist. It's like an hour and a bit, and it actually dings every time you're supposed to switch hand positions. So if you are doing traditional Reiki where you go from position to position and you want a playlist, like reach out to me, I'll send you it. It's pretty good. And I put it on even though I kind of go wherever. And then I also got online booking set up. So if you're brand new to the game, maybe you don't need it quite yet, but honestly, I feel like it's worth it. I use Acuity for that. And then I also made my own website using Wix. And when things go big time, then maybe I'll pay someone to make it look way more advanced. But just to get started, this was fine. And, you know, you do have a couple costs kind of getting out of the gate, but then you'll get your money back. You'll be great and you'll be fine.
There's always a cost to starting up, but it's like being humble about it. You don't need to go and buy the most expensive Reiki bed and the most expensive singing bowls. Like, you just start basic. Like, my Reiki bed is actually from a garage sale.
Oh,
And
me too, online, used.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
so
cleared it.
many. Yes.
Yeah.
It was, I freaking love it. It's like hand or the wood. It's got so much detail on the wood. It's great. So yeah, check out Facebook Marketplace. You just never know. And yes,
Yeah.
important to clear it because those beds hold a lot of energy. You don't know what happened on them before you got it. So yes, definitely clear it. And another thing that I would recommend that is a cheap investment is selenite. Put selenite
Hmm.
underneath your bed. It just
I
like
have that. Yeah.
gathers and clears. It's just a beautiful crystal to work with. It's just kind of like an ally. And it's also like a physical point that you can look at that you know the energy is being released there, or work with some other crystal or whatever you feel called to. I find that to be helpful. And something else I want to talk about, I believe we touched on this before about naming your price for a session. And this is something that I was going like back and forth on. I didn't know what to do. And my advice is like, pick a price that excites you, like that makes you want to get out of bed and do this Reiki session, you know? And when it stops making you excited, then you know that's when you need to raise it. When you're, you know, expanding your gifts and you have more practice and you feel like your hour is worth more, then that's the time to go and revisit it and up your price or do what feels right to you. And I believe like when like my massage therapist, she's upped her prices, I think every year for a while, but she is so good that I keep going back because I'm invested with her and I know what I'm getting in return. And my investment with her is always, always worth it.
Especially if you're just starting out, your prices are probably pretty low, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that confidence yet. So naturally, you would be raising yours for sure. And then you'll get to a
Yes.
point where you're kind of average with a lot of others, and that feels good.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yes, it does. Or even starting out with the exchange, like you did, Amanda.
Yes, that
Start,
was very good.
yeah, if the
I
money
highly recommend
thing,
if you're brand new to do the exchange thing first. But
yeah,
always do an exchange. Don't do it for nothing.
don't ever do it for free, ever.
No.
I
Buy me a
don't.
coffee. I think I might have even been pregnant. And I was like, bring me pregnancy snacks, like something. And I got like, oh, Todd loved it. I'd get like baking and oh my God.
Yeah, you got some good stuff. It was
Yeah.
cool kind of to see how creative people were too.
I
Or even a
know.
trade for service. Like if someone
Yes.
does massage and you want to trade, or say someone makes a mala necklace and you want to trade. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's cool too.
I got a Pilates class out of one of them. That was good.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Yes.
Okay. Learning Reiki and being scared or a little bit nervous when it comes to the attunement.
Yes. I believe it's how the Reiki master explains the attunement. I find like if they set the stage and they tell you everything and don't put any fear into you, I feel like that is a great place to start and a great way for that Reiki master to hold space for you. And I was scared for my level 1 Reiki because of the way she explained it. It sounded like my whole life was going to be turned upside down. Like you're going to be on the toilet. You're going to have a headache. You might be moving. You might do this. Like it was like intense. I was like, what the hell did I sign up for? I was so scared. And, it's good that she gave you like the whole, what do you say, gambit? Or I don't know how that saying goes, like the whole full meal deal of the possibilities. But I think it was like a little intense because I was sitting there probably like a deer in headlights, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I almost didn't do it. And the thing is, I think it also depends where you are on your spiritual journey. Like if you are just newly waking up and you haven't done a lot of inner work, yes, the attunement could be a little more intense, or it might not be. I don't know. It depends like what your soul journey is. There's just so many factors. It's hard to pinpoint what could happen to someone. So my husband went and did level 1 Reiki right after I did. And I felt like I was doing a lot of inner work, and he was just kind of coasting along. And his attunement, he was just like, whatever, didn't feel any different, like nothing. He's just like, hmm. So like maybe some subtle shifts happen with him. I don't know. But my Akashic teacher explained like the Akashic record attunement very well, and I believe it's related to the Reiki attunement. It's really just attuning you to the 5D consciousness. So where you can communicate with spirit maybe a little easier, or you're just tuning into that radio station, I guess is the best way to explain it.
Christy, this is the funniest thing ever. I love how Troy has no symptoms at all, and you're crying in the corner
Yeah,
and shitting your
exactly.
pants.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so true though. It's very true because so we took New Earth Angel Reiki first. And I know when we had those attunements, it was super soft. It was like this guided meditation, and it's different than the Yusai attunements. And we both cried, and it was a very beautiful ceremony, and it felt like a whole ceremony, and it was super beautiful. And then if you're doing Usui or Yusu, however you want to pronounce it, you get I believe it's 4 attunements the very first time. And yeah, it does feel like a little bit different. And if you do have a lot of clearing that needs to happen, it is very common that people will, purge a bit, and you might be food sensitive for a while, so you might not have much of an appetite. Those are all very normal. And two, when you go to sleep, you could have some dreams and kind of everything is integrating and upgrading, all very normal. But I wouldn't say it's at all frightening. I know someone also told you, Christy, like, oh, there's no going back after you go forward. And you were kind of like, you were thinking the blinders were going to come off, and all of a sudden you're just going to see spirit walking around everywhere around you. And yeah, like that's not like no one should really give you fear like that, because the odds of that, I've never heard of that happening, first off. Like, I think you just become more heightened and more awake. And then, of course, if you're getting the traditional Yusu attunement, it's kind of like they just open up that other channel. So it's like now there's that other channel for the Reiki energy to flow through you. So it just feels, I don't know, more connected. It's good. Just go for it. You'll be fine. And it's not going to last forever. So you're out for 24 hours. It's not a big deal. And if you cry, that's completely normal. So we cry all the time.
Best way to release, yes.
Oh, it's good.
Okay, so our next question here was how to clear yourself. So I wrote a lot on this question, and Amanda did too. And we actually had a conversation about this actually being a whole episode. We want to do a whole episode on how to clear yourself and cut cords, because it's a very important topic. I think maybe some people don't know, or maybe they're curious about how we do it. I think it's a really good thing to talk about. So we're going to save our answers for another episode.
Yes.
So for our last question was, what is your like most memorable, most favorite Reiki session that you had?
Okay, so this one was really good. And I was very glad I wrote this down, because I only remembered certain details about this. And then when I was going back to my journal, always journal if you don't. And this is totally the reason why. I was like, oh my God, I forgot all these other things that happened. I was like, how could I have forgotten this? So I was doing a distant Reiki session on a client, and I was over the heart chakra. Before I started the session, I always am grounding them in. And I remember I had this vision of this medicine woman that had a necklace full of skulls, almost like Kali now that I think about it. And I kind of laughed at it and I said, oh, haha, like, yeah, that'd be like a funny Halloween costume. Like, I'm not, boasting about like me being this medicine healer. But anyways, I kind of like put it to the side. And then all of a sudden, like as I'm in this session and I'm over the heart, I was transported into a different time and space. It was like I was in between this lifetime and another past life, which was actually validated by that astrology birth chart reading I had. I connected these dots after. So I'm working on the heart, and it was so blocked and guarded that I couldn't even really get a read on it. We know what that's like. And all of a sudden, I just started like sweating, and my forehead went down into the heart. Like all of my body started going into the heart to try to get this to move. And then my right arm started circling around her whole chest area, almost like to map out where we're going to do energetic surgery. Then my hand was almost taken over, and I started, like the Hulk, almost even violently beating on her chest. And I started pulling stuff out. And I kept doing this pretty forcefully. And then I would picture these shrunken heads in my hand, holding them by their ponytail. It was like part of this ancient tribe. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that, with the little shrunken heads. And then I would keep pulling stuff out of her body, and then all of a sudden things would fly out of the chest, and I would put my forearms together to block it and to cover my face like a shield so they wouldn't hurt me. And it was all very intuitive. I just knew exactly what I was doing. And then I started sucking the rest out, literally like, and blowing it out. And then at this point, I was actually on the Reiki bed. I jumped on top of her body, and I was straddling her, holding her chest and picking out the pieces and then holding the space for her to heal. It was like I was calling in my whole angel team to help me with this. This actually felt like a full-blown exorcism. And I'm seeing this at night, and this ancient medicine woman that was just channeling through me. And I saw her once the heart was done releasing. She just collapsed on top of her. And these men had to come and carry her off. And I could see her in the corner after resting. She was just exhausted. And I remember calling in Archangel Michael to help, like sit with her while I continued on the rest of the session. And so I'm going through this with my client. And to be honest, she wasn't even fazed by this. I was like, if you could see what I'm seeing, you would be dying right now. Like, this is insane. This is like past life. This was on a whole other quantum level. And to be honest, I've never even had anything like that since. Like, this was months and months ago. And I guess the clients just haven't needed it. But that was probably the most intense thing ever. And it felt like such a channeled healing session. It was wild. It was wild. I made sure to check in with her the next day, and she was completely like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Why? Yeah, I think I was more healed than it felt like she was. But yeah, that was probably definitely my most intense Reiki session. I would not say that's typical. That's not a typical session, but that's definitely something that I guess could happen.
Wow, that is crazy. You know, and thank goodness that was a distance Reiki session, because I don't know. I guess in person it would have been different, but I
Yeah.
think just being, that distance is, that was a good time for a distance session. And it's funny, I was going to ask you, like, how did she feel after? And you said she was just fine. I
Yeah.
can't believe that. I just picture like somebody having like a major heart healing and like a heart opening experience. Maybe it happened later on. Like maybe it's a little more
Yeah,
gentle, or
that can happen. Yes, the release can definitely happen after. For me, I'm a crier right on the table when that happens. But yes, that can
yep,
definitely, once things settle out, the heart can definitely break open, and then you can have that unconditional release. Yes.
yep. That is intense. I like that
Mm.
story. The shrunken heads, I totally know what you're talking about with like the long hair, and I don't know
Yes.
what that's from, but I remember seeing it in a movie or something.
I actually think of Beetlejuice when he
Beetlejuice. Oh, jeez. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, that movie used to
Yeah.
scare me as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about you, Christy? Any sessions that you've had or that you've had happen to you that you've been a part of? I know you and I have had some pretty wild sessions together that we've been really interactive with.
Yes. Yes, we have had a ton of healings, which have been amazing and like a learning experience and scary. Well, not scary, but just intense. Yeah.
Mhm.
But it was kind of hard for me to pick just one to talk about. there is one that was recent, and it was just the power and the parallel that came through from a past life to help heal someone in this lifetime was just wild. I still am in shock about what came through. The client came to me and she's been having issues with something like her whole childhood, even like her family has been affected by something. And I was like, okay, sometimes it's great when your client has a very specific thing they want to work on. Cause I feel like you call in the guides and you're like, it's like you roll out the map and you're like, okay, guys, this is what we're working on. Let's zero in and let's get shit done. So I was excited. I had no idea how this was all going to unfold. I was like, past life, present life. I was like, I don't know. But when in doubt, I always go into that heart chakra because the heart holds so much. It's just like when you go in there, you're always going to get something, I find, like from our New Earth Reiki training, that going into the chakra is how we can see things unfold and all of that. So yeah, I went into the heart chakra and all of a sudden I was like seeing like this little boy, and it was like in Switzerland, and then all these things started playing out, and it was the most random things, like this story. I was just typing it. I was like, okay, this is happening, and I don't want to divulge too many details because I don't have permission from her to share all of this, because it was a very personal story. But just the way the whole past life played out, and of course it was tragic. Most past lives we visit that need to be healed do end tragically, and it was just it was so sad. It broke my heart. And when I sent her the reading after, and she sent me back like 3 pages of how all of this relates to her life and how this fear came out from here, and like all these dots were connected and all related to this past life. And she felt like she had a great healing. Like there was part of her body that was affected in that past life, which was affecting her in this life. And after that session, she felt like she could use that body part better, like clearer, which was wild. I was like, how is this even possible? Like I even shocked myself. I've seen a lot of things, but this one just like really rocked me. I couldn't believe the power in healing that past life and how it affected her life in this lifetime. So I wish I could share the details because it's super fascinating, but I just wanted to share like the gist of it because it was just so moving, the power of this work.
Yeah. And, hearing sessions like that, and it just makes me validate and remind me of why I love this so much. That's
Yes.
so beautiful. And I probably would have been crying too. Like, our hearts just connect right in. And, yeah, so nice.
It is. When you can make like a small difference in somebody's life, like help them heal a fear or help them feel more understood, is just the most beautiful feeling, I find.
Hmm.
And that's my why. That is why I do this work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Great. So we actually, going off of this, Christy, so we another question a listener asked us was, what was our favorite topic that we've covered so far? And actually mine is past lives. I think it is so interesting and so important, like that session you had, how it just ripples and heals. I love it so much. And I'm going to start looking to doing past life regression through hypnosis, I think, soon. So really getting into that Dolores Cannon work. I haven't been too called to really full on take it in yet, but I definitely want to dive down that rabbit hole even further.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Christy? Favorite topic so far?
Mine would be the mediumship episode. I think it was episode number 7. There was just so many stories I shared that were just really moving, and just some really good heart-centered stories about spirit and how they show up. That's by far my favorite episode. All right, should we get into our rapid fire questions? So we both came up with 3 questions, random questions that we're going to ask each other. We don't know what they are, so I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared, but I don't know what you got under your sleeve there.
Well, should we just each go one for one?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, Christy, if you could have one healing session with one person, receive a healing session from one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Shaman Derek,
Oh my
100%.
God, that would have been mine too.
Yes.
Totally.
Oh, I
Totally
would love
Shaman
that.
Dirk. Ah,
Yeah, he is
good
amazing.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could travel to any year in a time machine, what year would you choose and why?
Oh, interesting. I don't know what exactly year this would be, but I think it'd be really neat to go back to like England. You know when they wore like the corsets and the proper everything? Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm
like
talking
that show
about?
on Netflix.
Yeah. Go back to the
Great.
Bridgerton era.
Yes,
Is that
yes.
weird? Only if I'm of well class, though. I feel like being poor would have been real dumb. But
Yes.
I don't know. That's weird. That's the first one that actually kind of comes to my mind. That's odd.
Yeah, it's odd.
What
But yeah, no,
would
that would be a good era to be in.
Christy, if you could pass one law that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
To be kind.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Like,
Or just shut up. Like if you have
yeah.
nothing nice to say, just don't say it at all.
Oh
Just be
my God.
kind.
If you could like weed out all the online haters, oh,
Yes, the trolls.
trolls, be gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
good one. Be kind.
Yes. Okay. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would it be and why?
Stewie from Family Guy.
That's awesome. I didn't expect that. That's good.
It was
Yeah.
supposed to be fast, and I was trying to, that's the first one I thought of. Like, that'd be interesting. It'd be a very eventful day.
Oh yeah, for sure it would be. Yes, and that's what you're supposed to first thing that comes to your head.
If you were a superhero, what power would you want to have?
Fly. I'd love to fly like
Hmm.
Superman. That'd be freaking cool. That was the first thing that came up. Of course, like mind reading or seeing through, walking through walls, like all that. But no, I think flying would be sweet because then you wouldn't have to drive anywhere. And what trend would you like to see disappear forever?
Crop tops.
Yeah.
And I'm 38. I can't wear a crop top. And what other trends? Yeah, I guess I'll just sorry, that was the first one.
Crop top. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so we're gonna leave. Actually, me and Christy are gonna do a double card pull today.
Yeah, a tandem card pull for our listeners.
Let's see.
I think that's what tandem means. Two people? I don't know.
We really gotta start researching stuff
I
before
know.
we start saying it on the air.
Sound like an idiot.
Okay, so Christy, what deck are you using?
I got 3 going here.
You have 3 decks? How long is this reading gonna be?
Yeah. A full card reading happening right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Starseed one, an Angel deck, and Moonology going here. Jeez, I feel like I just pulled the same cards from these decks all the time. There's like how many cards, and like you keep seeing the same ones.
Isn't that so funny when that happens?
Yes. Or you throw it back in and it pops right back out. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cards that I pulled here, they kind of have a theme going on. So I asked a message for our listeners, and what came through is like the strength and guidance card. And it's just, I feel like if you are, at your wit's end of something and you feel like you're done and you feel like there's no strength left, it's like dig deeper. We don't give ourselves enough credit for how much strength that we have within us. And it's just like if you just keep digging and digging, you will find that strength and you will get through it. Because the other card I have here is emotions are running high. So it's almost like you could be more reactive about this situation at this point because you're depleted and stressed. And sometimes when that happens, we can't think clearly about the road ahead or how to make good decisions about the situation at hand. And the other one is talking about expression. So about like expressing your needs and what you want and just really tuning into your own self and your inner authority and speaking your truth, because nothing is going to change if you don't change what's happening within yourself. People aren't mind readers. They can't just figure out what you're thinking or what your next move is. I feel like it's very important to share what is going on. Or even if you don't feel comfortable sharing with whoever this conflict or situation is with, that you can also write it down. Just get it out, and you can even practice talking about it, like talk in the car about it. Just like get it out of that throat chakra. And when you find that strength, you just know that you always have that guidance from your spiritual team. They're always there for you, no matter what. Just call upon them and they will be there.
Awesome. Our messages are a little bit different, actually.
Yeah. Hey, that's okay.
Yeah, no, I was kind of curious if we'd have the kind of the same thing. Mine's actually funny. So my first card that I got when I was pulling my tarot cards was the Six of Cups. And in this deck, it's like a man sitting with his dog, but he's like thinking back to a time when like he was just a boy and the dog was just a pup. So it's like that nostalgic, like old memories coming back. And I was like, oh my God, this is our full moon. All these old memories coming back to us. And like coming back rapidly. So that's with the Eight of Wands, which means like accelerated motion, like coming in really quickly, which is exactly what it felt like that we were just going through. So finding that balance and kind of releasing that as it needs to come, because there's definitely going to be some, you'll feel like you won a battle after you've let go of that and you've overcome those like past feelings that have kind of surfaced. And when you've released them properly, you'll kind of feel like you've even come even farther ahead. And then I have a lot of aces here. So I have the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. So it's like all these new ideas are coming in now. It's like you've had a chance to release that old stuck energy. And now you're almost being blessed with this new coming in, new ways to make money, new ideas on how to really grow a business, or new ways on even randomly I'm getting how to meet people. And that Page of Pentacles, like Pages is all about that young energy. So it's like be creative, be fun with it. And then I also got the Ace of Wands with the King of Wands. So it's like this is something that's going to be a new creative fire that's going to get you excited. And it's going to get you like all the way through, all the way up to the King, where you're going to become like the master of this, going to be becoming so strong that you'll even be able to tame the lion, so to speak, like really digging into that strength. So if you are starting a new endeavor, if you want to find more balance in your life and take on an extra side gig, maybe you do want to start up Reiki. It's like you're going to get all these new ideas, feel inspired, and you're going to go for it. And you're going to go the distance. I'm seeing the Ace with the King came out together. So it's like, whoa, you're going to start at 0 and you're going to go all the way up to the King. So
Oh, I love that. That's like a really good message for Taurus season, like leading into Gemini as well.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll post our picture of our cards on Instagram. Yeah, so you can check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. You can find us on our Instagram page, Living the Reiki Life, and my personal page, Reiki with Manda. We both have online bookings as well if you want to get in touch with us that way.
And you can check me out at The Birch Soul.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Have a good week.
1, 2,